Okay, this is going to be problem number 7 that was on the practice set of problems, getting accustomed to algebra. Yeah, this is the same equation, but we're going to use it 3 different times. So let me go through this one. So it says a car is moving along a straight line from point A to point B. So it always let me draw a diagram, figure out what we're doing. So here's point A, here's point B. So it's moving in a straight line. It's going to be some distance between these two. I'll call this, I don't know, X. Why not? A, B. Okay. The first half of the distance. Oh, good. So half. So I know this point. So I know this part. I'll call this, I don't know, leg 1 and this leg 2. So I know the distance is going to be 1/2 of it. All right. So first half of the distance between AB is covered at speed V1. And the second half is covered at V2. The average speed between V1 and V2. Okay, average speed. So I want to be careful about this. So average speed, my average velocity is going to be my total distance, my total displacement, divided by my total time. Well, what are they giving me, right? I've got 2 legs. So in leg number 1, what do I know? Leg 1. Well, they tell me the velocity is V1. And that the distance it travels, I know is x over 2. I don't know the time, but I'm just going to call this t1, so it's going to take some time. For leg 2, well, they're telling me a velocity, v2, and that it's going to be distance of x over 2 is going to take a different amount of time, right? It's a different velocity. So what I need to get to is my total distance, right? I can use x for that, that's fine. And my total time, well, here's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to get time from these 2 equations, plug those into here, and then hope that it works out. So there's a subtlety here. So they're telling me that I have to have this in terms of V1 and V2. So that means I need to get X to cancel. X can't be there in the final. I don't know how to do that. I'm just going to trust that it's going to work out. And if it doesn't, I'll try something different. So again, they're telling me I have to get it in terms of those things only. So it means everything else has to be gone. So let's do a little bit of math, right? So here's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to say my velocity is equal to displacement over time, right? Same equation. But now I'm going to have V1 is going to be equal to my displacement, which is x over 2 divided by T1. I want to solve this for T1. So remember algebra trick, right? I can switch the place of these two. So if I have a single denominator and one, one on the other side, I just trade places, right? So I'm going to say T1 is equal to x over 2 divided by V1. And let me clean this up a little bit. So dividing by something is the same as multiplying by the inverse, right? So this is the same as saying T1 is equal to x over 2 times 1 over V1, which I can then simplify to be x over 2 V1. Okay. Well, now I have a phrase for T1. It's got V1 in it. So I need to do the same for my leg 2. So I'm going to do the same sort of thing. I'm going to say my velocity for part 2 is going to be equal to my distance traveled divided by the time, whatever that is. I'm going to get time by itself. And this is going to be x over 2 divided by V2. And then I'm going to simplify this to say time 2 is going to be x over 2V2, right? So these are pretty similar. So hopefully you've gotten something that's the same thing from doing the same math. Okay, so I'm going to go to my average velocity. This is what I'm interested in. I want to get my average velocity, right? This is going to be my total distance, right? So here I'm defining my total distance as x. And so my total distance is going to be x divided by my total time. It's going to be my time for leg 1 plus my time for leg 2. So I'm going to put x over 2v1 plus x over 2v2. And now I'm just going to math the heck out of it. So I'm just trying to make it simple at the end. So the first step you need to go through it. After that, yeah, it's up to you. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to pull x out of here, right? So I still have x on the numerator, and this is going to be x times 1 over 2v1 plus 1 over 2v2. So notice my x cancels, right? So I'm going to be left with 1 over 2v1 plus 1 over 2v2. And you might just stop there and say, hooray, I've got it. And usually on a test, that'd be fine. And on the AP test, usually it's fine. Sometimes they want you to simplify it a little bit more, so it doesn't hurt to try to get something cleaner. So, whoops, there it is. So this is what I end up. So we'll try to get to something cleaner, which is just going to take a little bit. So here I'm going to take this. I can't just add these together, right? So I have to get a common denominator. So I'm going to multiply this side by V2 top and bottom, and this side by V1 top and bottom, and then I'll end up with a common denominator, right? So when I do that, I'll end up with 1 over V2 over 2 V1 V2 plus V1 over 2 V1 V2. Right, convince yourself that makes sense, right? So now I have a common denominator. I can add them together and take the inverse, and I'm pretty close. And so I add these together. I get 1 over V2 plus V1 all over 2 V1 V2. And now I'm going to essentially take the inverse, right? So divided by a fraction is the same as multiplying by the inverse, which comes up a lot in this course. So I'm going to end up having 2 V1 V2 over V2 plus V1. Right? The order that you have these things in doesn't really matter, but if you end up with a nice clean equation like that, it just makes everybody happy. Anyway, hope that's helpful. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.